Hello good people, Emmanuel Safari bringing you the Promise Insurance Show. Today we want to talk about what travel insurance is all about. But before getting into it, let's first listen into this brief video of the key things you need to listen out about travel insurance when you're buying a travel insurance. Much as this program is sponsored by Britam Insurance, we are going to see how their products and the new portal they have introduced that can help us here in Uganda mostly. But before reaching out, of course, because it's travel, medical, or international insurance, there are things that are looked at worldwide. Thank you.
My next trip, is it right for me? Do you buy travel insurance? So those are some of the things I'm going to answer in this video and more. Everything you ever wanted to know about travel insurance. The first thing to know is travel insurance doesn't make sense for everybody. To determine whether it makes sense for you, you have to decide how willing you are to take financial risks related to travel. Travel insurance exists to minimize the financial risk when you travel, and so you have to look at the trip that you're taking. How much money did it cost? If you can't go or something happens, how much money are you out? Are you just out a few $100 in airfare, or is it a $20,000 once in a lifetime trip? Those are things you have to look at to decide whether you want to buy travel insurance or not. And you also have to ask yourself, how much is peace of mind worth to you? If you're someone who worries a lot, peace of mind might actually be worth quite a bit. The second thing to know is that there are many different types of travel insurance. Travel insurance is not a one-size-fits-all thing, and every travel insurance plan covers different areas and different conditions. So now I want to share with you some of the coverage areas that you might be interested in and looking for in a travel insurance policy. The most common coverage area for travel insurance is trip cancellation coverage. If you have a policy that has trip cancellation coverage, then your insurance will refund you the price of your trip, provided that the reason you're canceling is one of the covered reasons. By the way, COVID-19 coronavirus typically is not one of the covered reasons for most travel insurance policies. Often paired with trip cancellation coverage is trip interruption coverage. This one kicks in if you have to interrupt and stop your trip halfway through, a third of the way through, because something happened and you have to go home. In that case, the insurance would refund you the rest of the price of your vacation that you didn't get to enjoy. Trip delay coverage will reimburse your expenses due to delays in travel. So if you've ever been stuck at LAX or London Heathrow for 6 to 12 to 18 hours, you might have to stay in a hotel overnight. That's what trip delay coverage is for. One area that might be pretty important to you is medical coverage. Medical coverage as part of a travel insurance policy will reimburse medical expenses incurred at your travel location. You might also want to look at emergency evacuation or transport coverage, so that if you have to go to a hospital, if you're in a third world country, if you have medical transport or emergency evacuation due to a medical situation, then they will pay for transporting you to a better country that has better health facilities. Death or dismemberment coverage, this one's kind of a depressing one, but if the covered person dies or is dismembered, loses limbs, then their next of kin, or in the case that they were dismembered, would receive the money associated with that part of the policy. Baggage coverage will provide for reimbursement of expenses due to lost, damaged, delayed, or stolen baggage. Rental car coverage will cover your rental car on a trip. Change coverage will cover you if you have to make change fees to your airlines, reservations, cruise ships, whatever the change fees come from. Some less common types of coverage areas, but you might be interested in them depending upon where you're going. The first one is political evacuation coverage. If there's something like an uprising in the country, this will provide for your transport out of that country in that situation. If you see a policy labeled as a comprehensive policy, that's typically one that covers almost all of the things that we talked about above. If you're looking at a policy that says it's reimbursement only, then the way that policy works is you pay first and then you get reimbursed. Some might pay for you first. In the case of medical transport, the insurance company might pay for that direct. So you have to see, do you have enough money in the bank to pay for those potential expenses and then fight to get your money back later from the insurance company? Another type of interesting insurance policy are annual policies. If you travel a lot, then you actually might want to look in getting an annual policy which would cover you on all the trips you take in a year. This would make sense if you travel quite a bit. The third thing you need to know is about price. Travel insurance generally costs 5 to 12% of the total value insured for the trip. The biggest factor is the age of the people insured, and if your age is over 50 years old, then it generally goes up considerably from there. Children under the age of 17 might be free or discounted, provided that there's some adults on the policy already. The prices of travel insurance can range wildly, so definitely comparison shop and don't just buy the travel insurance company that your airline or cruise company is pushing on you when you book directly with them. The fourth thing to know is about when to buy travel insurance, and many people think that you have to buy travel insurance at the same time that you book your tickets or flights or cruise, but that's actually not the case. Typically, you don't have to buy many types of travel insurance until just before you go. Now, if you're buying trip cancellation coverage, that really gives you more value the earlier that you buy it. If you buy it later on, well, you might not be reaping the benefits because something might already happen. You had to cancel it if you didn't buy it at the same time. Now, there are some policies that do require you to purchase it within 7, 14, 21 days of booking your trip, so you should research the policies and try to book it around the same time, but you don't have to. The fifth thing to know is a bit more detail about medical coverage. I think this is one of the most important areas for travel insurance, and so I want to dive into it a little deeper than I did earlier. So first of all, if you already have health insurance, your existing health insurance plan or policy might cover you when you go on travel. Read the details, call your insurance company, figure that out before you buy travel insurance so you're not spending money twice on something you're already covered for. Now, you do need to dive into the details a little bit, because if your insurance company says they cover you, well, they might actually be billing those coverage things at out-of-network rates, which could actually lead to some really expensive medical bills if something happens to you while you're on travel. And I mentioned earlier, but I'm gonna say it again, if you're going to someplace kind of sketchy, you might really want to look into a policy that gives you that emergency airlift service to take you to a civilized hospital. This type of coverage becomes more important the more adventurous and the more remote places you're going. For example, if you're hiking the Himalayas and something happens to you up on the mountain, well, you're first going to need a helicopter, and then after the helicopter, you'll need an airplane to actually take you someplace civilized, so that can get expensive really quick. The sixth thing you need to know is about credit.
Okay, so that said, of course, he's talking about now credit. He has really given us a very good breakdown of what we need to look out when you are talking about travel insurance. One thing I need to be very clear, most of the insurances in Uganda are on reimbursement basis. Much as we also have some comprehensive ones, those we can discuss on one-to-one, but today I want to talk about what we call the reimbursement basis. So travel insurance, whether you are headed for business trip or a trip for a lifetime, go with peace of mind thanks to the global meter policy. So we need to get a quotation. How much does it cost and what are the benefits? Actually, as he mentioned, what are we covering? You always have to look out for what is covered in terms of the limits. So we're looking at a travel package. Of course, this is the Britam travelers. We have to look at the type of cover. We're going to start with a single trip. We shall go to the annual trip. There are also those people who want to travel, who are coming into Uganda. But of course, that will also see where are they coming from. If you want to travel into Uganda, that is travel inbound. We also have to look at the student trip, excluding United States and Canada, and then for those who are going to be on travel trips to Canada. But let's look at a single trip. Destination, I'm going to use any random country. I know there are a number of Rotarian friends who are going to travel to Singapore, so let me use that one for instance. So possibly they are going to travel around April or May, let's say 28th of April. Okay, no, that will be a Monday. Yeah, some people will travel on a Sunday for the convention that will start around Monday. So let's just be, let's look at a trip around, so let's go now to May, because if they went to 28th, they want to come back after 1 week, which will be around Saturday. Okay, those will be 14 days. No, that will be too long. Let's mention around okay, that's 7 days. Let's say 1 week travel, because that's usually the standard. Now, any trip, let me put a random name. Let me put myself, since I'm Emmanuel. This is Emmanuel Safari, because of course we need to put in the names or the details so that we see what are we going to be covered for. So the travelers, how many people are we traveling under this person? Let me say just one person. If you're traveling with a family, I'll also show that option. So if you're a senior above 60 years, that will also show. If you have children are moving below 0 and 15 years, below 16 years actually, that's a child. Above 16 years, internationally, you are an adult, so we will put you under here. If you are a mid adult, that is 61 to 70, of course you'll have a different rate. From 71 to 74, that's a different rate. The seniors from 75 to 80 years. So that is it. I've put in one adult. Let's say someone who wants to get a quotation for one person. So the different plans. There's the classic plan. Then there is the premium plan. Then the gold plan. Now, let's look at the benefits. Of course, before looking at the premiums, of course, this is the most affordable. Let's look at its benefits. What are the benefits? So the benefits, you always have to view who is this person, the premium is that. Now, what is the narration? We have to look at the excesses. The personal liability, we're covering up to $250 per day should you get any personal liability in that which country, wherever you have traveled to. So if this was say Singapore, we're also going to look at that. Then there's of course the other countries like other Schengen countries. That is a premium we shall look at another shortly. So emergency medical expenses and evacuation, that's $100 each for every loss. Cancellation or curtailment, that is $50 each for every loss. Travel delay, up to 12 hours excess. So they have to have delayed your travel by more than 12 hours. Then hijack of $30 per 24-hour period of detention. That is also, yes, there has to be an excess. It has to be more than 1 day, 24 hours. That's excess. Okay, narration limits. Personal accident, we are covering up to $12,500 within that travel duration. Then delayed baggage, we're covering $25 per 12 hours, maximum of $150 for any trip. Then personal liability, $70,000. Loss of passport, $500 to get another. Cancellation of curtailment of the trips, that is $500. Travel delay, that is $100, maximum of $100. That is $10 per 12 hours, up to a maximum of $100. Okay, and then war and terrorism, optional covered at an additional 25%. So we can cover depending on the country you're going to. If you say it's a war-torn area, we can increase this premium. Hijack is $30 per 24-hour period. So that would be $300 in terms of benefit. So if you select this cover, we shall give you the quotation. If you don't, we can go to the next option. So let's say, what is the premium cover? What is it covering? So whereas the other one was covering up to $70,000, this one is going to cover, the main cover is this emergency medical expenses and evacuation up to $100,000. So the other benefits, these are just additionals like loss of checked baggage, that's $1,000 of what is covered. Delayed baggage of $50 per 12 hours, maximum of $250. Personal liability up to $200,000. Hijack of $50 per 24-hour period detention, $50 and $500. Cancellation and curtailment, $1,000. Loss of passport, vis-a-vis. Most of the things are more or less the same, but of course what you are seeing is $25,000 here for personal accident. And so basically the personal liability and the medical evacuation expense of $200,000 is very key for this premium package. It's like the cash, it's the cash cow of the insurance company. This is like the standard, and it's really affordable. $33 for a week travel. Then let's look lastly at the gold plan. What are the benefits? This, of course, you're seeing there is $40, and depending on the exchange rate will also determine how much you're paying in Uganda shillings. Actually, this quotation, if we choose this, we will see the quotation in the Uganda shillings depending on when and the exchange rate at that point in time. So if we see the benefits for the gold, we see here we're covering 27,000 for personal liability. We are looking at medical evacuation of $150,000, emergency dental of $750, repatriation of motor remains $12,500, hospital benefits $25 per day, maximum of $250, loss of checked baggage $1,000, delayed baggage $50 per 12 hours of delay, maximum of $250, personal liability up to $250,000. So these are the key limits you have to look out for. Hijack, we are seeing $50 per 24-hour detention up to $750. Loss of passport, we are seeing cancellation here, there's almost $1,500. So all these are very key. Now, of course, you can see they're almost double what the premium package was offering. So for that little extra premium, you can get a package that can give you much more. So what do you do if you have chosen, say, the select plan of premium? Because this is like the medium, majority of the people would fall under there. So would come, of course, if the person who was traveling with this will give you a brief detail. You got this quotation on, say, 23rd of January, but you're traveling on April 28th of April to the, say, the 4th of May. That is for 1 week. So you would find that if you choose this, of course, the country you're traveling to is Singapore, for instance. You will find that if you want a quotation of this is how the quotation would look like. So as it's coming, you also have an option of emailing you the quotation immediately. You send us your email address. Also send us your passport copy, and your TIN number is also very important, so that we can have all this information, such that once you agree with the quotation and you want to buy, you notify us, such that we can press this option for you to make the payment. So this is okay, it's taking some time to load. Okay, I wanted to just show you how you would proceed from here, because you can use mobile money. Actually right now we're using mostly mobile money, because as you're going to see, if this quotation was made in January, you will look at the prevailing rate in that time. It was about 3,800. So depending on the month that you have chosen, if you are due to set off in April, you'll find that the prevailing rate could have changed at that point in time. So this is how the quotation would look like. If the name that we have given us is what will appear here, and the days would also reflect how long you're traveling. The standard travel period is 1 week. That's the minimum we look out for. Of course, I'm also going to share what is the annual travel day. So here you're going to see, of course, it's the quotation you're going to use as the reference number of the quotation. The country is Singapore, 7 days. The basic premium is basically $23. Then plus the taxes, it was going to come to 33 point. So you can just round it up to $33. So it has already computed for you if you're traveling in January. If you're ready at that point in time, you pay the 125,897 shillings in Uganda shillings. You pay it on mobile money There are different modes of paying the money. You can pay using the bank account or mobile money. There's a merchant code, which is Britam, capital letters. Then you make the payment. Then all the other benefits will be summarized for you to at least be sure of what you're going to buy. And that will be the legal documentation. And because this is a reimbursement policy, you will be basing on this to send us any information whenever you get any challenge in that country. So send that information mostly on email, because we believe that the phones will be challenged in those other point in time. So let's look at a person who is traveling on to, say, a Schengen country. Okay, let's say, so let's get another quotation. We're going to say France or what? The number of Schengen countries. The good thing with Schengen, these are about 27 countries that negotiated their rates, so such that they can get more benefits in their travel arrangements. So let's say choose France. France is also a Schengen country, so it will give you that option. So if you are to move for the same period that we chose earlier, which was 28th of April to again here to May 4th, for instance, that is 1 week travel. If I put my details again, we shall see the option that it's going to give us. So if we are getting the same person, okay, it will give us all these options. So here it's adding in another option we call the Schengen policy, or the Schengen option. Its benefits would also be quoted differently, because this premium is there, but you can see here what we're covering is $100 medical expense or evacuation, and then personal liability of $250, hijack of $50 per 24-hour evacuation with an excess of 24 hours, travel delay. Generally the limits, okay, let's look at these narrations. The personal liability is $15,000 US. We have 33,600 US. Emergency of $500. Repatriation of motor remains. Should you die? I think, as we don't like talking about death, but it can happen also. We would pay up to $5,000 for that, for those motor remains, for the body to be brought back. Hospital limits, there are no hospital benefits. Loss of checked baggage up to $1,000. Then delayed baggage of $50 for, Then personal liability up to $200,000 US should you be sued while in that country. Hijack up to $50. Cancellation curtailment up to $10,000 US. Loss of passport $500 limit. War on terrorism is also covered up to, okay, of course with an extra if you go to those countries which have been war torn, like if you had gone to, I don't know if, no, Ukraine is not part of the Schengen, so, but had it been declared, then you would claim using your email. Repatriation, 100,000 of motor remains. Again, we talked about $10,000 US. Loss of baggage, name it. So these are benefits that will be summarized for you. If you choose that option, it will also give you, if you select the cover, it will give you the benefits. So you come and we work out the details. If you quote the document, let it be quoting as, okay, that is been done. Let's say we come to, now let's look at what is the annual trip. For those people who travel quite often, let's see what will happen. Okay, for those people who travel a lot frequently, again, you can choose Britam Travelers, then annual trip, and then here you just tell us the departure date. So if you plan to travel, let's say in February, okay, in March 1st, of course it will give you the automatic annual trip, that is 365 days. So if we put the same details here, Emma Safari, we shall see how, okay, destination. Of course it has prompted me that I have to put the destination. You can put any country that you're moving to. Again, let us choose, say, Singapore, because the number of people who are traveling to Singapore this year, just for example's sake, but it can be any country. So here, let's say put one person, and then we push and see how much it's gonna cost. You realize that instead of coming every week or every time you're going to travel and you charge $33, it will be quite a bit over time. However, here, if you choose the premium option, you will be charged $363, or about $364 if you round it up, for the year. And then the benefits for the premium option, you're seeing that you can be covered up to a personal liability of $250. The first this is excess, like the minimum that you will consider to pay, you know. So don't claim for anything less than $250. The excesses are here. Then we have to go now to the limits. So these are excesses. Now the limits. Narration, loss of baggage, we are looking at $1,000 is the limit that we shall pay. Then delayed baggage, $50 per 12 hour, and the maximum of $250, yes. Then personal liability of up to $200,000 hijack up to $50 per each. Then each 24-hour period of detention will be $500 that we can compensate you on reimbursement basis. Cancellation or curtailment, $1,000. Loss of passport, $500. Travel delay, $10 per 12 hours, or up to a maximum of $100. Tourism, of course, this is optional at 25% of the basic premium. We can add in the premium. Personal accident, $25,000 is what is covered as a limit. Then emergency medical expenses and evacuation up to $100,000. So should you get sick or sick, you may get weather sick, you may get food sick, name it. There are so many things that can happen while you're traveling, as they have already mentioned in the video. Dental care up to $600. Motor remains up to $10,000. Name it. So there are lots of things that will be put in this quotation. Of course, if you select the plan, let's be quoting as it's showing. Okay, the gold plan is here. What are we covered here? Yes, it's costing $448, but the excesses, of course, this is like what are we covering minimum, but now the limits is what is most important. We are saying we're covering you up to $27,000 for personal liability. If you compare this with okay, as it's loading with the premium, because I'm going to compare both of them for you to consider. This is mostly taken on by people going to North America, US, or if you need, of course, a premium coverage. In medical emergencies, expenses and evacuation up to $150,000. Dental up to $75,000. Repatriation of motor remains $12,500. That is including, of the helicopter, including the airplane that will bring you back, whichever country you go to. Then all these other things are more or less the same. Loss of checked baggage, $1,000, and all that. So this has to be set out very clearly for you to understand, to quote the company whenever you get any challenge. So as this one is opening up, I wanted to just compare for you. This, of course, we can't discuss everything in just one session. These are things that we'll learn on a one-on-one basis, or whenever you send these details, and when you actually purchase, you'll be getting all this information on your email. it is quite a very quick process for you to process your documents very fast. So even over the weekend, this information, I'll be sending you the link for you to to process your visas or to process your travel insurance for the visa processes. So if this has already quoted for you for someone who's going to pay for a year, this is premium option, $360. It will be about 1.38 million for the whole year. So it will give you that summary of all the benefits for you to really hold us to account as Britam Insurance. So if we also look at the gold package as it's opening up, let's possibly look at the other option, which is inbound. Okay, those are travel options. We can't discuss all that. Of course, now this is like the major. You realize this travel, the annual package is highly discounted if you compare those travel premium that you'll be charged. The gold package will be about $448. You realize this is 1.7. Of course, depending on the option on the countries you're moving to, you could get more expensive packages that also give you more benefits. But for now, this is what we wanted to share. So as this gentleman gave his advice, these are the types of insurances you have to look out for. I can't discuss further. I want to thank you for your attention. I mean Emmanuel Safari. Credit to Chris who shared this information, this Muzungu friend. Of course, he also has his YouTube channel. I would like you to subscribe to our channel and give us any comments and share this information to your colleagues who also want to travel more. Awesome. I want to thank you for your attention. I mean Emmanuel Safari, bring you the Promise Insurance Show. Tune in next time.